So, let's start, Carlo.
Cover page, doctor. On the panel today, good morning and welcome back to our Picus Lab webinar series on the 10 most critical attack techniques showing the MITRE framework in action. I am Carlo Tarantini, I'm Product Marketing Manager here at Picus Security. And today we have the pleasure of having two prized experts for you on the panel. We have Dr. Erdal Ozkaya from Standard Chartered and our very own Dr. Süleyman Özarslan. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Dr. Carlo.
Okay, thanks for that. Doctor, that really doesn't help people. Last week we discussed the registry run keys startup folders technique. It was number 8 on our ranking, and this week we'll be focusing on system information discovery, as the title says, which is our number 9 technique, of course. We'll walk you through a number of use cases as well as the basics of the technique with Erdal and Süleyman, and they will share their comments and experience. As usual, do not hesitate to fire away your questions at the end of the webinar, and let's get started. So if I may, I'd like to introduce our panel. Erdal is a cybersecurity professional with business development, management, and academic skills as well, who focuses on securing the cyberspace and sharing, as he's doing today, his real-life skills as a security advisor, as a speaker, as a lecturer, and as an author as well. He's a campaigner and an award-winning technical expert and speaker. In fact, he holds Global Instructor of the Year awards at the from the EC Council and from Microsoft. And Erdal is a part-time lecturer at the Australian Charles Sturt University. He has co-authored many books, as well as security courseware certifications and exams for several vendors. Is this a fair introduction, Erdal?
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to having you on the panel today. Dr. Süleyman is a Vice President of Picus Labs and a co-founder of our own Picus Security. Welcome, Dr. Süleyman. You're on mute, I think.
Yes, he is.
Welcome, Carlo. Thank you for the introduction, and welcome, Erdal. It's great to see you in this webinar.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to work with Dr. Süleyman. I had the pleasure to work with him in various NATO conferences across the globe, actually, across Europe, Asia, and even I think in Azerbaijan, which is Asia. Yeah, it's always a pleasure for being in the same platform with you. And thank you for the opportunity, Carlo, and Picus, of course.
No worries, it's going to be fun. As for me, I've been a product marketing manager at Picus. I was at Darktrace previously. And like I said, we are all doctors. You get the triple doctor today, gentlemen. It's amazing. Let's move on. Here's a lovely surprise for you today. You've been with us on a journey through MITRE. We loved your comments. We loved your questions. And we want to thank you today. And Erdal is helping us actually by sharing his work as an evangelist. So at the end of this webinar today, we'll pick 10 lucky winners and give away to our winners one book by Erdal Ozkaya. Winners can pick any book they like. All we're asking is that you visit our Twitter site. The link is on this slide, and like and retweet our latest post with the hashtag Picus Security. And
of course, they can follow as well, right? Not just like, they can follow if they're not already.
Of course. We'll announce winners. After the webinar, so don't forget to follow us. Erdal, were you going to say something?
I was saying, not just follow. They can also follow, not just like. Picus and of course myself or Dr. Süleyman. I don't know if you're on Twitter as well, so they are more than welcome.
Indeed. So let's get down to business. As usual.
There is a question. If you don't have a Twitter account, you can do it at LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you are. If you have none of those, send us an email.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. Some housekeeping. You get your books. It's going to be amazing. We promise. This is how the story begins, though. Over the last year, Picus produced very extensive research. We analyzed more than 50,000 unique pieces of malware, and like we say every week, 360,000 attack techniques were modeled and simulated, and 445,000 malware actions, including non-unique behaviors, were analyzed as well, and those that can be leveraged by malicious actors. Today, we are talking about system information discovery, which is our 9th most prevalent technique. It covers up about, excuse me, 5% of malware behaviors we analyzed. Now, Erdal, what's your impression of our work, of our MITRE ATT&CK research? How do you think information can be useful?
I think this is very impressive because, I mean, MITRE did a great job. So being in the field, being before the bank, I used to work at Microsoft, before that at Secunia. So deep enterprise experience, which I believe I have. I see these attack types all the time. Of course, they come with different flavors. And I was always wondering, not because I'm now at Picus webinar, I used to always wonder, like, why is not one of the vendors just giving us the opportunity to put them to see, to be able to protect ourselves? And I think you guys are in the right track doing that. And yes, this is straight from real life. I think we're going to talk more about this in the coming slides.
Indeed. It's great to share this sort of knowledge. It's a great exercise. We've done great work sort of integrating these scenarios in our product, and MITRE itself is a community-driven initiative. So I'd like to hand over to Dr. Süleyman now. If you could please explain to us the system information discovery technique.
Thank you, Carlo. As you know, once adversaries establish initial access in a system, one of their primary objectives is to observe the environment and gain knowledge about the system. And this technique is referred as system information discovery by the MITRE ATT&CK framework. And one of the goals of this technique is deciding how to act in next steps of the kill chain. For example, the NetWalker ransomware determines the CPU architecture, for example, x64 or x32, to choose which version of the DLL to use. And another goal is using the collected information as part of the follow-on behaviors. As an example, Sonokibi ransomware discovered system information to generate a unique identifier, and it used this unique identifier for encryption, decryption, and also command and control communication. And let's talk about the operating system commands.
You want to move on to the next slide? There we go.
Operating systems provide some tools to list information about the system. And adversaries use these built-in operating system tools for discovery. And the most used utility is System Info. It's provided by Windows, and this tool is used by dozens of advanced person threat groups and also hundreds of malware families. And information provided by the System Info tool includes OS configuration, security configuration, hardware properties, and other information. It gives too much information about the system and also operating system and hardware. And macOS also provides a tool, System Setup, and adversaries use this tool to collect information from macOS systems. And let's talk about cloud service providers. Adversaries also collect system information from cloud service providers like Azure, AWS, and others. They use API calls to discover the system information. For example, the described instance information call in AWS and the basic get call in Azure can be used to collect system information.
Thank you, Süleyman. That's fantastic. Erdal, can I ask you about this system information discovery technique? It seems to me like many other techniques, there's a prominent use of, say, system utility tools and native OS features.
I think this is a very smart thing from hackers to do. I mean, we always say knowledge is power. The more you know, the better you can attack. And what the hackers here do is they're doing very smart. They're trying to identify what the system is, what the vulnerabilities are, if it's a virtual machine, what kind of CPU it uses, all this information, or if it's in the cloud, which cloud provider, is it Microsoft, is it Oracle, is it Amazon? So all this is giving the hacker actually better visibility to whatever they want to do. So if they have some vulnerabilities, they can just discover, let's say, they scan the network somehow, they found it's a virtual machine. So why not use a virtual malware specified for that? Or let's say they find out this machine is Linux machine, so why use Windows attack vectors, which is not going to work? Or I'm pretty sure most of us going to remember the meltdown CPU attack, which was which was actually targeting the CPUs, right? So how did the hackers know what the CPU was? I mean, yes, anybody who did some web development, web security can know that your browser will tell what kind of operating system you are using, and the fingerprinting, which we use in hacking all the time. So we try to look at the signatures, based on the signatures, try to find out what the browser is, what the operating system is, and launch the attack. And I used to always say, you know what, there must be a way to bypass everything. So let's assume we have a system from 50 years ahead. You bring it for today. But if you have, if you know what the core behind is, I think you can attack it easier. And I believe, I always believe the hackers are really smart, and they use, unfortunately, their knowledge for evil. But I think that's what they try to do. They collect what they need to know. And let's say this attack is not just for, they could just collect this information later to come back as well, because they know what kind of information, or they know where they are. Isn't that what we do as human, Carlo or Süleyman? Or when we go somewhere, we first use our phone, our GPS, we try to learn the signs, we try to learn the people, then we just, the more time we spend, the more it becomes our city. So if you put this in hacking, which I always put real life into hacking or to cybersecurity, is the same thing. They get confidence in the environment, they learn what it is, and they use the right vector to be maybe the most efficient way there for their motivation. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, makes sense.
In real life into hacking.
It's a good analogy.
Pretty strong.
I think that's our advantage.
Use cases, Süleyman, if you... Sorry.
Süleyman?
Okay. In this part of the webinar, I want to talk about use cases. And I want to start with a remote access Trojan, ZX-Shell. And ZX-Shell, after connection to its command and control servers, it generates a large string that includes system information, such as localhost name, organization, owner, and operating system details, and also CPU speed and total physical memory. So, Erdal, what are your opinions? Why a remote access Trojan use this information? How they use this information for the plan, the next steps of their attacks?
The answer relies to what I said earlier, right? So look, they know the local host name, they know the organization, they know the owner, who cares, maybe. They know the operating system details, CPU speed, and total physical memory. So if I notice, let's say the system has 4 GB of RAM and it's Windows 10. This is an indication for an attacker. You know, I'm taking from the attacker's way. Let me tell you why I'm telling this. For the ones that didn't read my book, Cybersecurity Together with Yuri, which we wrote, Cybersecurity Attack and Defense Strategies. There I said, look, the best way to stop a hacker is to think like a hacker. We should have, I mean, I do it all the time. You notice my analogy. Cybersecurity for me is real life. It's not cyber, it's not digital, because we need end-to-end security. And yes, my full-time title is Chief Information Security Officer in the region, but I believe we all have to have the security mind. For that, we have to think outside the box. For that, we have to see what the hackers do. Again, now, let's say you have a 1976 model car, which has 300,000 kilometers. Will you go and race with this car in Formula One? No. So if you're going to race, you're going to pick something which is more suitable. So me knowing the system details maybe will help me to design my attack in a way that I can just steal in smaller chunks, because bigger chunks going to take maybe attention. Again, how does a command and control center work? We all know, right? So you create your zombies, then you start to collect. You either water hold the system, or you know, there's many different tactics. But me as an attacker, once I divert the traffic to whatever I'm stealing or whatever I'm encrypting, then me as defender will also know. Let's say you work with the vendor. If you like I know Microsoft used to do that. They used to create some sinkholes, divert the traffic before it goes to the CNC to their sinkhole to see who is hacked, and is it one of the customers, or if it is, they could easily just identify like who is coming from their way coming, and to protect against, you know, protect their customers against this kinds of attacks. And I'm pretty sure you all can Google it. I think I know it while I was at Microsoft. I know 15 CNC servers were shut down with collaboration with hacked customers or with governments. So this information is not just useful for hackers, but could be also useful for defenders as well, because this information is giving us who and what is getting, like when I say who, what information, maybe not the information, but what data or what organization has been infected. Again, it comes back to what I said in the beginning, knowledge is the power. I hope you agree.
Yeah, of course. And now I want to talk about an infamous ransomware. You know, Sodinokovi, also known as Revil, generates a unique identifier for the host using the volume serial number of the hard disk and also CPU ID. And also, it profiles the compromised host by collecting username, host name, domain name, and also operating system version. And it also collects hardware information such as hard drive and CPU information. And these are actually common information used by most of the malware. But interestingly, Sodinokovi uses a parameter, bro, that indicates if a Russian keyboard layout was detected. If it is true, the compromised host is whitelisted and it is immune to Sodinokovi. Sodinokovi does not encrypt if a Russian keyboard layout was detected. So they also use this information to profile the victims and create blacklist and whitelist.
Dr. Süleyman, you just gave me now a great idea. I'm just going to create an emulator and emulate my keyboard to Russian to be a bit more secure. Besides that, see, this is exactly what they do. While collecting the information which we explained in the first step, they can just easily identify that's their brothers and they're not infecting them. Or they know, you know, of course, there's Holigari, you know, the rich one as well, but most of the Russians not going to be able to give you 10 bitcoins, which is like $100,000, right? Besides that, it reminds me the non-petty attack. I know we're talking about ransomware, which is very popular these days. Look, CTW, Garmin, which I'm sure that at least one of you are using a Garmin product, either the watch or the GPS or you name it. They had to pay millions of dollars, and I'm talking about this, it's a public information, right? I'm not sharing anything secret. They paid millions of dollars to the ransomware, to the attackers, because they wanted to decrypt their data. So what I was trying to say is, if you can just, it's again, knowledge brings the power here, where non-petya, yes, I remember now. With non-petya, I don't know who did the attack, but when Ukraine was hit with non-petya attack, okay, they lost 60,000 computers within 1 hour. And the hackers, how did they know they're not attacking a Russian system, or they were not attacking a Turkish or Italian or British system? Easily, where the information they're collecting. Plus, knowing this information, if, let's say, I encrypt George, my friend George's computer. George is in Greece. I send a message in Arabic. He's not going to be able to understand. So he's going to have double encryption. Not his data just encrypted, but also the message, like, what is this hacker talking about? I cannot read Arabic. So this is also another good example why they collect all this information, so they can customize the, no, they can not customize, they can improve their customer experience. So they reach to the customer with the right message, and giving less pain or more pain, I don't know. You know, now I know my customer, my victim, which I call customer, is Turkish. I'm going to send a Turkish message, and hopefully that person is going to pay me in Bitcoin, so everything can be hidden.
Erdal, ransomware are so popular, and it's getting more, more dangerous. So I have a general question. How can we prevent against ransomware?
That's a great question. I mean, when I was at Microsoft, people used to tell me, hey, Microsoft, I used to be in cybersecurity team, as you know, hey, it's your fault. I'm like, why? But there is a vulnerability. I'm like, look, everything made by a human could have some issues. But let's look at the details. NSA was using it, Eternal Blue. Then nearly 2 months later, okay, Microsoft discovered that. They released a patch. Look, not 2 hours, not 2 days, not 20 days, 2 months later, the first ransomware attack happened. So when we look at the attack patterns, trust me, not too much has changed. I mean, I know you know. It's still vulnerable system. How? Unpacked system. Look, the hackers are still reaching most of the time via phishing. Unfortunately, the end users are still clicking into these phishing emails. They're still curious on looking what is in that attachment. Or they go and download this cracked software, which is, for example, Carlo, I know you're my Italian buddy. Let's say I come to you, I'm dirty, sweaty during the night, and I'm like, let's assume I got a nice Italian beer in my hand, but it's also dirty. Would you take this beer from me? You don't know me. I am dirty, sweaty. The cup is bad. Would you, yes or no? Would you drink
the proverbial candy from
No.
So most probably not. So what is it? What difference it makes when people go and browse the internet? They download a software, and without analyzing the software, they just double click and install the software. Honestly, what is the difference? One of them maybe could kill you. The other one is could kill your system, and the system has the information. The system has the. I mean, I always ask this question, Süleyman, who knows you the best in the whole entire world? Your wife, your mom, your child, your friends.
Mhm.
Ask me the question. Who do you think? I
Uh,
believe your mobile phone. You know,
uh-huh.
let me answer for you.
Actually,
I believe your
yes,
mobile phone knows
my
you the
mobile
best.
phone, and also some applications like, you know,
Which is in your phone, right?
Facebook. Yeah.
Yes, which is in your phone as well. They know exactly where you are, what you look at. Like sometimes you might, I know you're not, but you can go and look to some stuff that you even hide from your own wife, which is normal, or from your partner, from your boyfriend, you know, whatever. I'm just talking general. But the phone knows everything. So why I'm telling you this, if the hackers get access to that, I mean, it's so easy these days to get access. And when we look again, back to your question, the attack patterns comes always to the same thing. I think I mentioned in earlier conference as well. We are in pandemic now, right? Which is not in your top 10. I mean, coronavirus. How can none of us, three of us are not, we are PhD holders, but not medical doctors. But we get this question, we read this question, like, how can you prevent this? Like, easy. Try to not go outside. If you go outside, wear a mask where possible, wear glasses, keep your social distance. Don't touch your, like me, don't touch your, your eyes, with your hands. Try to use sanitizer. So use the basic hygiene rules. Now, back to ransomware. Patch your key systems. Try to, not have, try to minimize, create cyber awareness where people will not click into the links. But again, don't forget, layer 8 is always the biggest issue. So it doesn't matter what you use, if you don't educate your users, if you don't, like, I met in many companies, like yourself as well, customers. They're like, oh, we have like 50 something cybersecurity products. We are safe. I'm like, really? Instead, having lots of products not going to make more secure, but having efficient products, having the right approach, building the right strategy will, I believe, make you more secure against ransomware. I know I talk too much, but so, the basic, being up to date, I don't want to repeat again. I don't want to use the time again, but I believe this answered the questions. If you want to add something, please feel free.
Thank you. You give very detailed information about how to prevent against ransomware, and I agree with you. There are some basic prevention methods like patching, backup, but not
yeah, backup. I forgot backup. Sorry. Yes. Well, the backup. I think we have to make one clear point here. I mean, I'm still a big fan of the tapes which you take offline. For example, on Petya, remember they had attached send systems. Unfortunately, not offline, and they were affected with the same attack vector. So, and maybe Picus. Like, what can Picus do? I mean, let me ask you that question. I don't know if you have it in the next slides, but how can Picus help me? Honestly, I mean, I know the answer because I'm using Picus myself, but how can Picus help me to understand a cyber ransom attack? Not cyber, but ransom attack. Is there any module which can give me some information?
Yes, we simulate most of the ransomware families like NotPetya, Sudnokobi, WannaCry, or any others. We get behaviors of malware. We use some static and dynamic analysis methods to extract actions of the malware, and we simulate their behavior without harming the computer systems or network. So you can use Picus to simulate Sodnokobi ransomware or any other malware, and you can see that whether you can prevent the malware attack or not. Then you can take your prevention methods, and we also give some, specific rules to prevent these attacks with if you use an IPS, we give the IPS rule, or if you use an endpoint product, we give a rule about the endpoint product. So using Picus, you can understand that if you're affected from the ransomware or not, then you can take your precautions.
Comes back to what I was trying to say in the beginning, right? So simulating the attack is going to give you the opportunity to look at it from the hacker's view, and it's going to boost your defense system, because now you know what kinds of signatures being created. This can change. You know the attack vectors. You can look at your systems and patch or increase security, or let's say patch is not available, maybe create defense in depth strategies. So as I said, having 50 security systems is not maybe always the most efficient. Sometimes it is useful, but having maybe one which differentiates everything could be much more powerful. Again, honesty. I know it sounds cheesy for most of the users. Yes, I know Dr. Süleyman for years. I met him in NATO, not personally, and in other events which we worked together. But I clearly said that I have zero financial tie with Picus. I'm just a big fan of what they do, how they do. And I make it very clear, I'm not getting paid to say any of this, and we didn't practice any of this earlier. So this is my true opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Erdal.
But Carlo has to buy me coffee. He promised me yesterday in the dry run. He owes me coffee. That I didn't forget. It's recorded as well. So
100% deal. As soon as we meet.
Carlo, that I will not forget. Italian coffee.
I know you won't forget.
One for me also, Carlo. Thank you.
Okay.
And the next one is a banking Trojan, Mekotio. And in addition to operating system and security information, Mekotio also checks whether an anti-fraud protection product is installed or not, like IBM Trust here. As another differentiation, Mekotio gets the local time of the victim computer to generate a unique domain name for command and control communications. So it creates a unique domain name for each victim. In this sense, Erdal, I want to ask a question. In this sense, domain name blacklist seems useless, and also IP address, of course. So
yeah, that's exactly. Sorry. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So they are bottom of the. They consist of bottom of the pyramid of pain. So this example also shows that the TTPs are the most important ones, but IP addresses and domain names are useless for preventing some malware like this banking Trojan. What do you think about it?
And this is exactly why they collect all this information. So if they know what kinds of security products the victim has, they must probably know also what the defense mechanism is. This is probably an ATP group, right? Who's using that? I don't think so. This is the streets, that's kids from the back street. So they look at the anti-fraud protection products, and IBM is a good one. Okay. They look at your malware, let's say Symantec. Okay. They look at the rights and generate, again, the right pattern to move on. Because if I know, like if you know how IBM or Symantec, you name it, is generating the defense mechanism, you know, how they look at the hashes, how they look at the whitelisting, blacklisting, and IP addresses, you can you imagine? I mean, it's very smart again. Let's assume they block ABC 1, 2, 3. All right, no problem. I can create Y underscore L775. So something different, which is gonna bypass. again, knowledge is the power, and the hackers are here very smart, and again, to bypass it. But I want to make one more distinction here. Like, why? Why do you need administrative privileges in your workstations? You might be the admin. I see this a lot. Administrator has one beautiful laptop. He or she connects to the data center from the same laptop, as well as to the internet from the same laptop. Okay, what is the issue? Like, pass the hash. If someone somehow gets into this machine, they can easily extract all the information from there, right? So how hard is it to use a privileged account workstation, which you have zero rights? This will make you a bit more secure. Then if you really need to connect to then you can use that remote connection to a safe system and connect your data center from that safe system, which is going to make it even more secure. I know it might cost you one extra hardware, but as Mikoti states, this is gonna, I don't know the exact damage by Mikoti, but I know the exact damage what happened with Karbanak. 100 banks, $1 billion were stolen. How? The hackers came in, they listened to the bank, they learned everything. For 4 months, they didn't do anything. They learned how the bank is, they learned how the money has been transferred, they learned what anti-fraud protection is, how the phone, the manual protection is, and they stealed $1 billion physically, by the way, which is more than 1 ton of weight. Which again, if that admin didn't have admin privileges, if that admin had something like Picus, which could generate, or another great product which I like, Komodo, if they had a proper SOC, which you could just see the the stages of the communications, this could save you $1 billion. I mean, again, I really don't know what the damage is, but pausing for a second and looking back, taking the basics will for sure put us in a better security stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Erdal.
So yeah, you know myself, you saw me presenting live as well. I love to be enthusiastic, and I hope you don't mind, right, Carlo? And everybody who's watching, I hope they're enjoying it so far.
It's your style.
That's my style, yes. If it's in webinar or physically, I presented for more than 3,000 people, or to politicians. Honestly, I had, like, you name a whole room of politicians. I'm the same. Most of the times they like my style, but sometimes not. So I apologize. My apologies for the ones they don't like it.
I like your style, Erdal. No problem.
Thank you, Süleyman. Thank you.
And the last use case is sandbox evasion. And as you know, sandboxes are used to visualize the behavior of malware within a short period of time. And in Picus, we also use different sandboxes. And there are some sandbox evading malware. They can recognize if it is inside a sandbox or virtual machine environment to avoid analysis. And they use some system information discovery techniques to evade sandbox. For example, a physical memory less than 4 gigabyte or a hard disk lower than 60 gigabyte or a single CPU core indicate a sandbox or VM environment. Moreover, a clean desktop, no cookies or history in browser, no recent files, no files in the documents folder may also indicate a sandbox environment. And there are too many different information that can be used to detect if it is in a sandbox or not. So this technique, system information discovery, is also important to detect sandbox evasive malware. If a malware or if a process check some of these information, it may indicate that it is a malware that try to evade the sandbox or the virtual machine. What are your field experiences about sandbox evasion?
Honestly, I love sandboxing, but I hate when sellers comes to me and sell sandboxing as the ultimate solution. Or sometimes, you know, being in this role means you receive lots of phone calls, lots of vendors that are trying to get into, you know, to the organization that I work or to the organizations earlier that I used to support. So the next generation of firewall or the great system, you know what, regardless what you are using, the hackers, and this is a great example, they know. I mean, look, there is really one difference between us and the attackers. The attackers, they need only one attack vector to go in, while we have to protect thousands of them. Mm-hmm. Many people think attackers, you know, they are from the moon. They come, you know, they wear, you know, they're humans like us. Like the latest Twitter account hack, right? It's 17 years old, was able to hack Twitter, tweet on behalf of Bill Gates, on behalf of, you know, I think Amazon, and it was Elon Musk, right? And he was able to steal $100,000 based on Bitcoins. Yes, I could tell he's 17 years old because he was caught too fast. Usually, Twitter is not that fast. So what I'm trying to say is, but there's the attackers, they know what is in the market. The attackers, they study well. They're not just blindly, okay, I'm talking about advanced attackers. They're not just blindly collecting all information. So the system information discovery is actually the most powerful. Like if you go back to your first slide, right? You had it great there. Like process injection. How can you, if you don't know the process, if you don't know the system, you cannot, you will not know the processes. As a result, you cannot do process injection. Second was PowerShell. Same applies to PowerShell. If you know the customer is using PowerShell, and anybody who's using Windows most probably is using PowerShell, or credential dumping, you know, you're gonna make a difference. Is it an etc file, etc PSW, or is it a SAM file that you are after? Or you know, all this, or when you create a scripting or scheduled task. So when we look at the top 10, actually, all this is coming from the collecting the right information and simulating the right attack. And this is, you know, that's what I was trying to say. And I know I keep repeating myself because sometimes it's hard to understand. Ladies and gentlemen, cybersecurity is belonging to this world. As I was doing analogies to real life, I think everything applies one-to-one. Like we say there's 5 hacking stages, right? Or could be more, depends on how you, but you know, first, information gathering. 2, you know, scanning. 3, gaining access. 4, maintaining access. 5, clearing tracks. So let's say I come to London. I was there last year around this time based on Facebook. When I'm in London, what I usually do is, you know, I say, Carlo, what is a good pub for me to go to spend some time? You're gonna say pub X. So what I did is, first step was information gathering. Has nothing to do with cybersecurity. Second step, I'm in the pub. I'm a single man. Don't tell my wife. I'm in the pub. I will start scanning because I want to have a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the choice is. I will scan the environment. I'm like, oh, I see a possible partner. You know, for me, female, but for you, I leave it up to you. I go try to speak to her. Like, hi, how are you? I get a slap in my face. She has a ring at firewall. I didn't notice that. So, or the boyfriend was next to it. So what I'm trying to say is it not like this as well? You scan and the firewall blocks you. Then gaining access, you know, you try to speak. Once you speak, maintain access. You have to be persistent, right? We have ATPs, for example. How is it in the pub with your possible girlfriend, boyfriend? You will ask for the phone number. You will ask for, social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, so you can connect. And 5, clearing tracks. So you had your fun, you finished, now I'm back in Sydney. My wife, if she hears any of this, she will kill me. I mean, probably you noticed, I was grew up in Germany, but my roots are Turkish, even though my passport is Australian, and I live in Dubai. Currently, I'm in Australia for a short period. So my wife will kill me. Doesn't matter, traditions, no, she's the boss. That she can hear. What I'm trying to say here is, isn't that with cybersecurity similar? So I took one real life so if you look at it, honestly, I can give to any cyber attack a real life example. Sandboxing is one of those. And this is a great message for us that how we should protect our environment and not just rely on vendors and products. Süleyman?
Thank you. Great information and also, analogy.
Which one? Hold on. The second part, I know your wife too, by the way. So you say the second part, Carlo, if he comes to London, you are responsible of him. Something happens, just give me a call, bro. Ransom,
We have the recording,
Oh, no, I forgot about that. Honey, I'm just joking.
Okay. Thank you, Erdal, for the information about the sandboxing and also a real life example of layered security defense and how to evade these layered security defense. And
right, before we get to our Q&A, a word from me about us, all these testing scenarios. So we looked at a few use cases as well as a description of the technique today, and our MITRE framework. Obviously, this is part of our work. When it comes down to our platform, all those testing scenarios are actually can be accessed via our platform, and you can use Picus to test whole environments, including production segments, and you can do it continually and instantly. And there's an attack attack scenarios function that you can use to test MITRE relevant scenarios. Picus is easy to deploy, so how you do it, basically you need to deploy our peers in a network, and they will form attack patterns between them. They're called vectors. So vectors run between two peers, where each peer can act as a victim or as an attacker, which means that Picus is safe to operate, because it doesn't require changing any configuration or creating any artifacts in any live environment. And again, it gives access to a massive threat library, using our latest research that you can use again to test, validate, and harden security controls in real time. It's the most comprehensive collection of threats, and it contains, like the slide says, several categories of threats, going from fully fledged APT scenarios covering the whole APT lifecycle and cyber chain kill stages, as well as malware scenarios that simulate the life cycle of reverse engineered real malware, and technical scenarios that focus on specific techniques that we introduced in the MITRE attack frameworks in terms of categories. I'll open up for questions. You gentlemen, I want to thank the audience for sticking with us. Thanks for coming, for being with us today. Thank you, Erdal, for being with us. And thanks to Dr. Süleyman.
For me, it was a pleasure. Maybe some of the examples didn't seem to be related, but honestly, if you think carefully, I believe they are extremely relevant. And the last slide, actually, it's a good concept of proof that actually how I can improve my defense mechanism. So thank you again for the opportunity, and let's see what they're asking us. I hope we can answer the questions.
Let's hear it from the audience.
Yes. By the way, some people started to retweet this. We are definitely gonna select 10 minutes, and Picus is gonna probably announce them via Twitter or via email. I guess they have your email IDs.
We will send the results to their emails, and also we announce it from on the Twitter actually. And Erdal, questions are coming. So the first question is about risk management. Do you think a good risk management practice can remove cyber attacks? If so, as you know, there are good risk management frameworks around us, and most of the companies follow it. Why do big companies still get attacked? Do you think we are going wrong, or why our current risk management practices doesn't work well? Actually, this is very
it's a great question,
problem.
Right? It's a great question.
Sorry?
Is it over? Sorry, I thought, is the question over? It's a great question. I want to tell you one thing. Remember, we all were in a stage that we had to be locked down at home. But then, you know, we break, like what happened here in Melbourne, Australia, for example. One of the people who were at lockdown bribed the security guard, and unfortunately that person had positive, and because of that person, the state of Victoria in Australia had to shut down. So the thing was very easy. All what you had to do is stay away for 14 days in the house. So risk management. NIST, for example, is a framework which is probably used by many regulators as the frame of the frameworks. Yes, NIST will give you, or you name it, ISO 27001 or COBIT or ITIL, you know, these frameworks will give you the best practices. Risk management should be, look, again, I'm going to give you a real life example. Get a baby. Try to drop the baby down. The baby will hold your finger straight away, reflex. Or if I do this, you will close your eyes by reflex. So, or why I'm giving this example, so risk management is built in us as well. Remember when you start to walking, probably you will not remember that, but if you have children around you, they will like, oh, am I going to be able to walk? Oh, no, then they fall down, they don't walk for a few days. Like if you, what they do is, everything in our brain is like, oh, can I walk? Yes or no? No, I'm going to fall down. No, let me, or if you're afraid of a dog, if you see a dog, your brain, risk management, is going to try to stop you. Hey, don't go, there is a dog. So back to the question, IT risk management. Risk management should, a good risk management should identify your issues. You should, like, you have the best risk management software and framework in the world, but your patch status is 3 versions back. What will the risk management do for it? Nothing, right? Because you're not following the best practice. For example, ISO, we said, like PDCA, plan what you're doing. Do what you plan. Check what you plan, and PDCA, act if you find issues. And this is a continuous process. I swear to God, happened in one of the countries, I'm not going to mention where. I went to a customer who were proud to having ISO. It was hanged in their wall, and the CISO and CIO took me to that wall. See, we are ISO certified, CISO certified, ISO certified. My first step, like, can I see your patch status? They were months behind. I'm like, this certificate is really nice in the wall. You're not even following the basics. So if you follow the basics, you should be able to find and protect these issues, at least many of the issues. Of course, there may be insider attacks. For example, NSA, which is very famous for being secure. I'm pretty sure you read about Edward Snowden, or you watched the movie, how he took the information out. There's going to be always a way. But if you put defense in that, if you put segmentation, if you try to limit as much as you can be more secure. And don't forget, there is no 100% security, no matter what you do. I hope it answers the question.
Thank you, Erdal. And I'm looking for the other questions. It's a question about Picus. I can reply. Does the solution provide a mitigation? In example, to take action on the endpoint, or it only provides mitigation guidance? Actually, we provide a mitigation, specific mitigation, not a generic. Actually, in addition to a generic mitigation guidance, we also provide a mitigation. For example, you can apply X rule in your IPS to prevent this action, or X rule, we give some generic sigma rules in endpoints, so you can convert these sigma rules to any endpoint product or also scenes, and we start to partnership with some EDR, EXR, and other endpoint security vendors. So we also provide specific mitigation rules for endpoint security vendors. Not only generic mitigation guidance and also specific mitigation. Another question, how are you addressing false positives in minimizing it? We have a big lab, Picus labs, have all these vendor products, network vendors, network products, endpoint products, email products, name it. And our analysts, red team and blue team members, try each attack and also defenses against these attacks. So we don't give rules, signatures that can create false positives. So we are trying the attacks and also prevention and detection and mitigation precautions in our labs. So then we offer these prevention and mitigation suggestions in our product.
That I cannot answer, so thank you, Süleyman.
Okay. Another question about Picus, how this is efficient with zero-day attacks? Actually, only a small percent of the real attacks are zero-day attacks, but zero-day attacks also includes some TTPs. So we focus on TTPs, not the specific malware or specific attack. We focus on behaviors of attackers. We focus on TTPs of malware. So any zero-day attack or any attack is a combination of TTPs actually. So if you prevent or detect TTPs, you can prevent the future attacks also. What do you think about it, Erdal?
I wanted to take, exactly as you said. 0 days are expensive attacks. We as defenders, we have to work together to increase the attack cost. How? So if you patch your computers, if you do the basics and you implement the security measures, then the hackers unfortunately has to spend more time. At the moment, hacking is a bit easy. Yes, I know what I'm saying. They will wait until the patch Tuesday comes. Microsoft yesterday announced 124 new patches. Google announced 1 week ago critical vulnerabilities in Google Chrome. So if you don't patch your systems, the hacker is gonna write the right exploit and create the attack for it and go. But yes, dark web. I have a book at dark web as well, right? In dark web, you will find some indications for 0 days, but nobody is gonna because 0 day, as it says, 0 day. Because in dark web, it's not just the bad guys. There are people like me, for example, there to try to get information to create a proper cyber defense strategy. I totally agree with Süleyman said. Or it comes to what I said a bit earlier as well. The hacker is always going to find a way to bypass. But our job is to make their life harder. And if you can just simulate the attacks, if you can just learn how the attack's happening, then you should be able to build a proper cybersecurity strategy as well. I think I keep mentioning this as well. A cybersecurity strategy is the key for your success. Your cybersecurity strategy should have a section which assess yourself. When I say yourself, your team, not just your end users, even your security guard, your contractors, your cleaners, because they are all possible attack vectors. I'm pretty sure you watched movies where the cleaner comes in, or you watched how Tom Cruise, if you remember, he was flying with the car into data center and Mission Impossible, going while someone is reflecting the attention to themselves. He was going to the server room. You know, there's going to be always some way. But if we make the return of investment for a hacker miserable, we defenders can have more time to think. Second step is, you know, knowing the attackers, right? So first step is knowing yourself. Second step is knowing the attackers. Third step is knowing your attack vectors. I went to so many organizations. Like Australia is a great example. I love Australia. You know why? The houses are usually single story. You will see the door like that thick. It's iron, 500 locks in it. Next door is window. You can just break it and go in. I'm like, why are you spending so much money to the door? You know, just put a proper alarm. But, you know, it makes you feel better. Having the thick door psychologically makes you secure. I hope this answered the question.
Yeah, now there are actually, we are at the end of our time, but there are two questions about MITRE ATT&CK framework and SIEM solutions. And we will reply the other questions with email, but I want to reply these two questions with you, Erdal. The first one is, in practice, how effectively SIEM products are employed in company environment for detecting APT attacks, considering MITRE ATT&CK framework. Yes, SIEM products are effective to detect APT attacks, malware attacks, and other attacks, but the important thing is writing correlation rules, writing alerts in SIEM systems. So, and these alerts are should be specific for each organization, each environment, because there are different assets in environment, and there are different type of people or organization, industry, etc. Too many things change the correlation rules. So using a SIEM product in default configuration not works for detecting any attacks, in my opinion. But if you can enrich SIEM products with true and tested correlation rules, it can detect APT attacks and also the other malware attacks. What do you think, Erdal?
I totally agree. SIEM means logs. Log is something generated a lot by network environment, right? Like everything creates log. But I mean, by average, depends on organizations, as there could be, if not hundreds, thousands, millions of logs. And you have to find that one. I mean, Microsoft were promoting their one, like out of 6.5 trillion logs, there were attacks, they were able to detect one SMB attack which happened in Germany. Satya Nadella was proud of it. You know, I'm not here to market Microsoft, don't get me wrong, but this is just the importance why you need it. But a real life example for me, I said to go through, I was in an organization, actually, no, I'm changing the example. Very recently, I went to a partner, okay, in my current role, to a partner, and they were proud of the SIEM product, they were proud of their cyber defense room, you know, they had all the screens, and I'm like, wow, this is nice. Do you mind if I have some questions? I swear to God, within 3 or 4 minutes, but don't forget, I spent half of my life in these rooms, first even building the cables, then looking at the attacks. You know, that was probably Süleyman's and my biggest advantage of being able to where we are now. I'm like, oh, do you mind clicking there? I saw something red. You know, I'm like, oh, can you click there? Can you click there? I found out that they had an IP address 8.8.8 8.8. I'm pretty sure you all know what this IP address is, right? Google. I'm like, hold on. You're doing highly confidential information here. They're like, yes. And you send this data to Google? They're like, yes. I swear to God, true story. I'm like, you know what Google is famous. Like, don't forget, I have an Android phone besides my iPhone as well. I love Google products as well, but this is my secret. I'm like, you are willingly giving everything to Google. So, you know, I mean, it's a small thing, but I cannot tell what they're doing. Otherwise, I'm going to give the organization out. But they're not supposed to do that. Everything's supposed to be encrypted. You know what I mean? The other example, which I had, a SIEM product, they had an IP address which was looking like a local IP address, but unfortunately, it was an IP address connection from China. Look, I'm going to be very open. It was from China, or looked like from China. And you know, I was giving an example to the SOC manager, like how attacks. They're like, can we do it? It was an IBM QRadar. I'm like, yeah, sure. They had millions of logs. When we put a sample IP address, boom, there was a hit. They had a connection for months from China, actual connection. The SIEM did detect it, but they thought it was an internal. They thought it was false positive. I think someone asked for false positive. So it's up to you. Like, we are humans. Sometimes we fight with our partners, with our managers. Sometimes our body fights with ourselves, like you get headache, this and that. If you just leave everything to humans, sometimes this can happen. That's why you need a proper AI as well to help you with this. But is it SIEM false? No, SIEM did detect it, but the human, the analyzer, did not take it serious. Is this not happening with human bodies as well? Sometimes you get pain, you ignore it, you ignore it, and 1 year later, you go to doctor, you find out it's cancer and it's all over your body. God forbidden, you know, just an example. But the body did give you the signals. The pain earlier, which you ignored. Same as with SIEM. I know I talk too much again. I'll shut up. Sorry.
And the last question that we can reply, what are the greatest challenges for enterprises that are looking to use MITRE ATT&CK and trying to map with the SIEM solutions? I want to reply this question because it is a very good question, because you know, SIEM solutions have some native challenges like log collection, correlation, etc. But MITRE ATT&CK framework, mapping MITRE ATT&CK framework brings some new challenges. You know, MITRE ATT&CK framework has more than 200 of techniques. So it is hard to map all the rules to MITRE ATT&CK techniques. So you can start with, to solve this challenge, you can start with the most prevalent ones like Picus time critical attack techniques. And then you can resume with the attack, the techniques that are relevant to your industry. Because some techniques for more relevant with some industries, like banking malware, use some specific techniques, or health, some attacks that affects health industry use some specific techniques. So you can start with the most common techniques, and then you can resume with the techniques that are commonly affected to your industry or your country and others. And you can also focus on the techniques used by the most common malware that can affect your organization. Mm-hmm.
And this will be the first step to do. I mean, that's what I would highly recommend as well. Like, where should I start? There is hundreds and hundreds of things to do. Start with the most common one. Yes, I know we always talk about the most sophisticated attack, about ATPs, but as Süleyman said, how many percentages are ATPs or are targeted? You know, if a nation state is going to attack you, probably you have no chance anyway. I don't want to say you have no chance, but you have very little chance. Look, as James Comey said earlier, there is two types of organization. James Comey is the ex-FBI director. One, they know they've been hacked. Two, they don't. So assume breach anytime. Assume breach anytime. And what does this mean? Should I just let it go? I'm hacked anyway? No. Assume that you can hack anytime. Build your proper incident management tooling, incident management team, your incident management communication tool methods, and be ready today to come. It's like we humans. We know we're going to die one day. Live, work as you're never going to die, but pray as you're going to die tomorrow, right? It's a famous saying. Same in cybersecurity. Work as you're never going to get hacked, but be ready for the next attack, because it's not if it's going to happen. The question is when it's going to happen. But if you prepare yourself, like a car, you buy a car, you put insurance. If you have an accident, if you don't have an accident, well, but if you get accident, you know, you pay this money for a reason. You mitigate the risk to the insurance provider, right? I'm not saying do cyber insurance, because at the moment I really don't believe there is really 100% insurance there. But just use what is available, the most common ones, and if you know your weak points, you can you know, start after the most common one from the weakest points as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erdal. So there are other questions, and if you drop your email addresses, we will reply all the questions in this week, I promise. Thank you, all the guests, thank you for your listening and also questions. And there are some good comments about the webinar. Thank you. Thanks to all the speakers. It was a great learning, for example. Thank you, Carlo. Thank you, Erdal.
Can you open the slide too quickly? Please, if you like the session, go ahead and tweet in social media so we can select the winners. If you don't have social media, Carlo is going to select the winners internally from some emails as well. But we're going to try to be, you know, as fair as possible. Again, thank you, Carlo. Thank you, Süleyman. Thank you, Picus, for inviting me. It was honestly a pleasure. We went hardcore security. I love it. And from what I can see, the feedbacks, many people liked it. Thank you very much. So I'm going to look forward to see this feedback on social media. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Picus. Thank you to all attendees.
Thank you, Erdal. And yes, this is, oops. Yeah,
yep, that's the slide.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So go, and the rest is easy.
Great webinar. Thank you. And we have the last webinar in this series of Picus critical attack techniques. 2 weeks later, it will be about disabling security tools, and we will have guests also in this webinar, and we will send announcements about it to your emails. So have a nice weekend. It's not the last day, but have a nice weekend, and see you 2 weeks later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. I will be definitely attending as an attendee in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.